Top 4 flowers with the worst smells in the world. 4. Stapelia gigantea. At first glance, this flower almost doesn't look real. Its enormous star-shaped bloom can stretch more than 30 centimeters across, with a pale yellow surface covered in dark red lines and fine hairs. This is Stapelia gigantea, a strange succulent native to the dry regions of southern Africa. For most of the year, the plant itself looks surprisingly simple. Its thick, fleshy stems store water, allowing it to survive intense heat and long periods without rain. But when Stapelia finally blooms, the plant transforms completely. A huge 5-pointed flower emerges from the stems, looking strangely similar to a piece of decaying animal flesh. And that disturbing appearance isn't an accident. Stapelia isn't trying to attract butterflies or bees. It's trying to attract flies. And to complete the illusion, the flower produces a powerful odor that smells remarkably similar to rotting meat. For humans, the smell can be disgusting. But for blowflies and other insects that search for dead animals, it's almost irresistible. The flies detect the odor from a distance and follow it directly toward the flower. When they arrive, the reddish patterns and tiny hairs make the surface look even more like decomposing flesh. Some flies become so convinced by the deception that they attempt to feed or even lay their eggs on the flower. But there is no dead animal waiting for them. There is no meal, only a very clever plant. As the confused insects crawl across the flower, pollen attaches to their bodies. And when they eventually visit another Stapelia, they carry that pollen with them. The flies receive almost nothing in return. But the plant gets exactly what it needs: pollination. Stapelia survives by creating one of nature's strangest illusions. A flower that looks and smells like something that should already be dead. 3. Dead horse arum. Imagine walking through a beautiful Mediterranean landscape, when suddenly, you smell something dead. You search for the source, expecting to find the body of an animal. Instead, you discover a flower. This is the dead horse arum, scientifically known as Helicoticeros mucivorus, native to islands in the western Mediterranean. This unusual plant has developed one of the most convincing deceptions in the plant kingdom. Its enormous flower structure has a dark reddish-purple surface, covered with strange hair-like structures. Together, the color and texture create something that looks disturbingly similar to rotting flesh. But appearance alone isn't enough. The dead horse arum also produces an intense odor, designed to imitate the smell of a decomposing animal. And then, the plant takes the deception one step further. It produces heat. Through a process known as thermogenesis, parts of the flower can become warmer than the surrounding air. This heat helps carry the smell farther into the environment, making it easier for insects to detect. But it may also make the flower feel more like something that has recently died. For carrion flies, the illusion can be incredibly convincing. They smell what appears to be a dead animal, see what looks like exposed flesh, and even detect warmth. So they enter the flower, believing they've discovered the perfect place to feed or reproduce. But once inside, some of the insects become temporarily trapped. The structure of the flower prevents them from immediately escaping, forcing them to remain inside for a period of time. While they move around, pollen from the plant attaches to their bodies. Eventually, the flower changes, allowing the insects to escape. The flies leave, still searching for the dead animal that never existed. And if they enter another dead horse arum, they may carry the pollen with them. The plant doesn't offer sweet nectar or a pleasant fragrance. Instead, it creates a remarkably convincing imitation of death. And somehow, that strategy works. 2. Corpse flower. Few plants on Earth can attract thousands of visitors, simply because they smell terrible. But when this giant finally begins to bloom, people are willing to wait in line just to experience it. This is the corpse flower, scientifically known as Amorphophallus titanum, native to the tropical rainforests of Sumatra in Indonesia. It's famous for producing one of the largest flowering structures in the plant kingdom. A mature bloom can rise more than 3 meters above the ground, towering over the people standing beside it. But seeing one in bloom isn't easy. A corpse flower can spend years storing enough energy before finally producing its enormous flowering structure. And when that moment arrives, the bloom usually lasts only a short time. But during those few days, the plant releases an odor that is almost impossible to forget. People have compared the smell to rotting meat, spoiled fish, dirty clothes, and even human waste. Scientists have discovered that the odor is actually a complex mixture, produced by several different chemical compounds. Together, they create something that smells remarkably similar to a decomposing animal. But the corpse flower isn't producing this smell to disgust humans. It's sending a message to insects. Carrion beetles and certain flies spend their lives searching for dead animals, where they can feed or reproduce. When they detect the smell of the corpse flower, they believe they've found exactly what they're looking for. And just like the dead horse arum, the corpse flower has another trick. It can generate heat. During peak bloom, the tall central structure becomes warmer, helping push the odor into the surrounding air. This allows the smell to travel farther through the forest, increasing the chances that insects will detect it. The insects arrive expecting a decomposing animal, only to discover an enormous flower. But by then, the deception has already worked. As they move through the flowering structure, they can collect and transfer pollen. For humans, the smell is horrifying. For the insects, it's a false promise of food. But for the corpse flower, it's one of the most effective advertisements nature has ever created. 1. Rafflesia arnoldi. Deep inside the tropical rainforests of Southeast Asia, one of the strangest plants on Earth is hiding completely out of sight. It has no visible leaves, no stem, and no roots of its own. For most of its life, you could walk directly past it without ever knowing it was there. Then one day, something enormous begins emerging from the forest floor. This is Rafflesia arnoldi, one of the largest individual flowers on Earth. A single bloom can grow more than 1 meter across and weigh several kilograms. Its enormous reddish petals are thick and fleshy, covered with pale spots that make the flower look almost alien. But the closer you get, the stranger it becomes. Because Rafflesia doesn't smell like an ordinary flower. It smells like rotting flesh. The powerful odor spreads through the surrounding forest, attracting carrion flies searching for dead animals. To those insects, the giant red flower can look and smell like the perfect place to find food, or somewhere to lay their eggs. But once again, it's all a deception. As the flies crawl around the enormous flower, pollen can attach to their bodies. If they later visit another Rafflesia, they may carry that pollen with them, helping the plant reproduce. But its terrible smell isn't even the strangest thing about this plant. Rafflesia is a parasite. For most of its life, it exists hidden inside the tissues of another plant. It has no leaves to capture sunlight, no normal stem, and no traditional roots to collect water from the soil. Instead, it steals the water and nutrients it needs directly from its host. Only when the plant is ready to reproduce does the enormous flower finally emerge. And after spending so long hidden from the world, its appearance is surprisingly brief. A Rafflesia bloom survives for only several days before it begins to collapse, darken, and decay. For a flower famous for smelling like death, it's a strangely appropriate ending. Rafflesia arnoldi is enormous, parasitic, rare, and almost unbelievably strange. It doesn't attract pollinators with a sweet fragrance. Instead, it uses something far more powerful: the smell of death. Nature doesn't always smell as beautiful as it looks. For these 4 flowers, the smell of death is simply another way to survive. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed exploring the strange side of the plant world, like this video, subscribe, and join us for the next discovery here on Flora Uncovered.